Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about having the right attitude as you head into your short-term mission trip experience. Ultimately, this could make or break your mission trip experience in a lot of ways. I've been on a lot of short-term mission trips, and I've seen people go in with a great attitude, and it turns out awesome. And I've seen some people go in with an attitude that was maybe the opposite of that. It wasn't so great, maybe a little more selfish than we would have hoped, and it no doubt was a detriment to their experience. So as you head into your mission trip experience, you want to make sure that you really consider, what is my attitude as I head in? Or why am I ultimately doing this as I head into this trip? One of the primary things you need to consider is, why do you want to even go on this trip? Or why do you want to be involved in this? Be considering that. The primary reason why we ought to go on short-term mission trips is this: to expand the glory of God to the ends of the earth. That's it. If your goal is something other than that, I would challenge you to really consider why you even want to go on a short-term mission trip. All of us should go overseas or to another part of our own country on a short-term trip with the hope of expanding the glory of God to places where maybe it's not shining as much as we would like. The God of the universe, the creator of everything, is awesome. He is the Holy of Holies, we see in the scripture. He is the King of Kings. He is the Lord of hosts, the prophet Isaiah calls him, which is a military term referring to the fact that he is the commander-in-chief of heaven. He is really big and really awesome. And we ought to be motivated by that. We ought to desire to go tell other people about how awesome and big our God is. Our God is a God of love who is slow to anger. He is compassionate. He forgives quickly. He is merciful. He remembers our frame. The scripture is so very clear over and over and over again that he is an incredible God, God who is a God of love and mercy and grace. And we ought to be excited to go overseas or to go to some other region or location of our own nation to tell people about the awesomeness, the love, the majesty, and the beauty of our God. If you're not excited about that, I'd encourage you to really consider whether or not you belong on a short-term mission trip. Now, I'm not saying you should never go on a trip. I'm simply saying you want to make sure that your motivation and your attitude is appropriate as you head in. The ultimate goal is to expand God's glory to the ends of the earth. And in fact, we see in the scripture that God has promised this will indeed happen. We see in the book of Revelation, God promises that one day when we are around the throne praising him and worshiping him, there will be people there from every tongue and every tribe and every people group. From all over the globe, there will be people worshiping him. Right now on planet Earth, there are not people worshiping him in every language or from every tribe. And it's our responsibility to go there to win those people for him. He clearly deserves that. He's also promised us this in the book of Habakkuk. The prophet tells us that there will come a day where the knowledge of the glory of God is expanding the globe just as the waters cover the sea. I don't know about you. Have you ever been on a boat, maybe on a cruise or a fishing experience or something like that, where you've been out on a boat and you look around and you can see nothing but water? Well, that's the metaphor that the prophet Habakkuk is using in that moment. He's saying there's going to come a day where when we look in every direction, there will be people who know about the majesty and beauty and glory of the one true God, the God of the Bible. Our goal in short-term mission trips is to take trips that help bring that about. We want to usher in the moment where we are expanding the glory of God, or where every person knows about the glory of our King. Let me close out this video by reminding you of a narrative that you're probably very familiar with. In 1 Samuel 17, David, the great king of Israel, was a young boy, and he was going up against a very large foe. Again, you're probably very familiar with a man by the name of Goliath. This was the giant that David took on in battle. And in that section of scripture, in 1 Samuel 17, David walks out onto the battlefield, and he looks at Goliath, and he tells him why he is doing what he's doing. He makes it very clear. He says, "Goliath, today I'm going to kill you. And here's the reason why: so that all the nations of the world will know the God of Israel." That was David's ultimate motivation. David knew that the God of Israel had blessed his own nation. But David knew that he wasn't satisfied with being inwardly focused. He wanted all the nations of the world to know that his God was indeed the one true God. And ultimately, that's the same attitude that you and I ought to take. And everything we do, whether it's a short-term mission trip, whether it's giving money to some sort of ministry or charity, whether it's the way we correspond with people on a daily basis, everything we do ought to be motivated with this idea in mind: for all the people of the world to know that our God is the one true God. Everything we do, day in and day out, should echo and be bleeding and oozing with the same thoughts and sentiment that David had that day on the battlefield. When he looked at Goliath and said, so that all the nations would know. I hope and pray that that's your attitude as you go into your short-term mission trip, because it ought to be. The focus should be simple, so that all the nations will know. May that be the thing that we focus in on as we go on short-term missions. In the next video, we're going to talk extensively about how to really embrace a missional attitude and what are some of the things you may face on the mission field.